Good Thursday morning?
It is Thursday.
Thursday morning.
It is Thursday. It is another day in the life of Coronaville, and here we are in the Northeast having just a blast.
Yes. Are we on episode, I think, 28?
It is 28. It is 28. Something that started, we figured we'd do a week or two and do something once a week, and now it's like, we got a couple more weeks to go, I think.
Listen, I'm happy to be here with you every morning until we need to. So
absolutely. It's a matter of giving, and I'm on this 5 a.m. call every day now, or trying to be, and it's just about giving. It's like you doing good for others. I just want to help people. That's where I'm at, and I live every day that way.
Right.
More now than ever. It's amazing, right?
Right. So I mean, we were just talking before we went live about what we do throughout the day to keep going, and I think it's really just helping people out, reaching out to people, helping them with what they need. Sometimes, they just don't know what direction to go or how to get something done. And if you can help them or direct them the right way, I think that's really what gets me through the day.
Yeah. I mean, having that desire to work. And then, I get mind blocks. I do a lot of writing all day long, and the mind blocks, I get up, walk around the table. And now I figured out to stay away from food. It's coffee or an apple or something like that. So that kind of helps me. But the concentration is just remembering, what I'm trying to do, what my goal is, what my lifestyle is, what I want to get to. And we're all going to get there. And just starting is the hardest part.
Yep, that's what it is. It always is hard to start, but once you get going, it feels good to accomplish things throughout the day. So as long as you can, cross off some of those tasks and actions and feel accomplished, I think that's really what's important.
Absolutely. It's a big help. Absolutely huge help.
All right. So we have a couple of guests today, all the way from Springfield, Illinois.
Okay, great.
Welcome Kyle Killebrew. He is the team leader of the Killebrew team in Springfield. We've known each other for probably 7 or 8 years now.
Hello, Kyle.
Thanks to the National Association of Realtors. So, Kyle, welcome to our show.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
So tell us, what's going on in your local market? How is this pandemic affecting you guys? When did it start? What are you telling your team and clients?
Yeah, it's just strange, So I think we're all just trying to figure out what the heck to say. But we're in Springfield, Illinois, so it's a touch more rural than some places. So I mean, definitely people are hunkered down. It's just every time I talk to my team, it's just we got to use caution, right? I mean, don't do something silly. Ask for permission for everything. Don't touch anything,
right?
And just stay motivated. So we're trying to stay in front of each other as much as possible, just like this.
Right. And how has this affected your business? Because you're a little more rural than we are. Where we are, business has been shut down for about 6 or 8 weeks, where you really can't do anything for the first 4 or 5 weeks. We just started to get back to a little bit of more showings and listings now. But how is it affecting your business?
So we were deemed essential in Illinois. So whatever that is, so we were still working, but kind of at a different capacity. Our showing, it's interesting. Our showings were down like 65% across the board this last week. Prior to that, they were down 80%. So our sales are down. Our sales for the area are down 35%. So things are still happening, but just not quite to the degree, by no means. I mean, we were all looking forward to April because probably like you guys, that's kind of when we hit our stride. And April came, and then it's like, wait a second.
Right. We talk about it all the time. Our pipeline gets built in April for May, June, July, and August.
Yeah. So, but I just feel like the demand. I was looking at the numbers like we all do for this time of year, last year and the year before and the year before.
Right.
And all three were pretty consistent. So that was gonna happen this year, and I can't imagine it won't come back. It won't happen at some juncture here.
Yeah, what do you do to keep focused and motivated, during this time? What do you tell your agents? What are you doing for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, we're having our team meetings. I mean, we're literally we're breaking it down into systems. What are we doing wrong? What can we become an expert better at? We use a system called Boomtown for our lead management.
Right.
Is it clean? Is there junk in there we need to take care of?
Yeah.
Rewriting our drip campaigns, things like that.
Right.
So, I mean, we got to stick together, guys. That's what I'm telling everybody.
Right.
Kyle, when you're working on all that stuff, are you thinking about today? Or are you thinking about tomorrow? Are you thinking about 6 months in advance? What is your focus on your business when it comes to those meetings and Boomtown and all that stuff?
Well, one is to keep the morale up. I mean, the first thing that I care about is we got to keep the morale there because, we're all in the real estate business. So when I look at these people in the face, I can, they're usually got a smile on their face or there's a pretty good attitude, at least in our crew. But I know behind the scenes, there's probably some things going on with spouses or kids or whatever. And so what's the most important to me is just to figure out who's where and what, because I can't see them and feel them right now,
Right.
So I don't really know that there's like this motivational thing. It's just like, hey, we got this. Let's look at the numbers. Let's look at the history. Let's know that this is going to end, and let's all stay above water, and then figure out what the heck I need to do to keep my agents there. If somebody's in a pinch, we got to figure out what to do so we don't lose anybody in the meantime.
Right.
So it's really just communication, and we do these meetings like kind of like this, but we do it Monday, Wednesday, Friday with the team, 8:30.
Right. That's great. I mean, one thing that I've always said is communication is key, whether it be with your team members or whether it be with your clients. And, I know some of my agents on my team give a communication guarantee to their clients, even saying, I'm going to communicate with you X amount of times a week, whether there's something to tell you or not, but I'm going to make sure I check in with you and tell you what's going on and share information on the market. And I think the agents that do that are looked upon much better because sometimes the sellers or clients or people just want information, right? In this day and age where information's at our fingertips, right? We can Google anything, but when you're giving them a service, they just want to hear from you, right? So you're giving a service to your agents are giving a service to their clients. Like everyone just wants communication. Everyone just wants to hear what's going on, what you're doing, you're thinking about them. So that's key, in terms of my business. And I'm happy to see that, other people are doing that as well.
Well, a good example of something that we didn't do last year that I had just kept planning to do was I wanted to make the top 20 things that we can figure out what to say, because there are times when we just don't know what to say. But if we had a list of the 20 items that, hey, have we checked the sign? Hey, have we checked the comps on the street? Hey, we got to look at those pendings. Hey, we got to double check things are as clean as they once were.
Right.
Bushes. I mean, we need a list as an agent as 20 things to say because there are some times when it's hard to know what the heck to say.
Right. Now, listen, sometimes finding what the right thing to say is difficult, but you're right. If you make that top 20 list, that's a great idea of exactly here are 20 ideas of what you can talk to them about, pull that information. That's definitely key. Dave and I talk about a lot of time blocking, our days in order to get these things done, because especially today, I don't know if you're working from home or going to your office, but the kids are around, the spouse is around, there's a lot of distractions, but if you're able to make those time blocks to do those things, like making a top 20 list, I think is a great idea.
So let's talk about something else having to do with exactly what you just said. And what we rarely ask is, how do you block out the distractions, right? So there's got to be distractions. Don't know your family situation, but you can talk about that a little bit. How are you blocking out the distractions and how are you building that into your system of today?
Well, I've got 2 kids and a wife, and my kids are rambunctious, and they're always right. They're fantastic, but they're right where you want to be at every second of the day, which actually is kind of awesome, but it's kind of a lot, as we know. But you know what? I mean, it's kind of embarrassing to say this, but this has kind of been the way I've been doing it for all along. You guys probably have too. A lot of my day is hiding in the closet. I'm just trying to get the phone call made without someone screaming in the background, and I think that's just the life of a real estate agent in general, though. Shoot, when I was working from home, if I get a call at 5 o'clock at night and I'm here having dinner and I'm running to the I go to the master bedroom closet because that seems to be where there's so many doors between me and my kids. I can hear them coming. I can get out of the conversation. But as far to answer your question, I don't have a great solution for it because we don't know when the call is going to come in, which complicates our time blocking.
Right.
But things like in the morning, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we plan the meeting. Boom. 11 o'clock on Thursdays, we have our training. Boom. Right. And so our team kind of knows what the game plan is in that regard.
Right. Well, I figured that was the answer because I have not gotten the answer. I mean, a simple answer to anything.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't have it because even though there's nobody here, I get distracted all the time by easy things. Maybe it's a squirrel outside or something.
Sure.
It's easy to get distracted, especially when, you want to be.
Right.
Well, and there's the one statistic that I've been telling the clients that I guess if there's one thing I've been keeping an eye on more than anything, and I don't know if you guys have access to this, and it's the most telling for me. Right. It's literally the number of showings that have occurred this week per price range. You guys use like showing time or some feature?
Yeah, we have those statistics as well.
And I mean, when I'm giving those stats to people based off of sales, it's like, it won't give them to the sellers because a lot of these sellers do still feel like, hey, I'm the only house not getting a showing.
Right.
So, those things were shown. But as far as working from home, I don't know. It's wild. It's the Wild West here, literally.
Exactly.
Completely. Listen, thank God my kids are in school most of the day. I mean, yesterday was Earth Day, so they had projects.
Yeah.
So I had to help them with the projects because, like, one of the projects for my 9-year-old was make a globe out of recycled materials.
Okay.
Right. So she's like going through the house looking for materials that are recyclable in order to make this globe. So I have to figure out how to do it with her. And here, I'm going to show what we created. Right. I think it's pretty good, right?
Not bad.
But that's what took up an hour of my day, because I had to help her with that.
I used to think I was pretty smart, but clearly, this has definitely taught me that I'm not sharp at all.
Yeah.
So my second graders ask me questions I could never dream to answer.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, when I have to get calls, I try to go for walks outside if it's not raining, but then all my neighbors think I'm crazy because I'm talking or yelling at myself at some point. So, but that's the way I get quiet.
Yeah. I mean, I tell you what, that's interesting. It has been nice to see, at least around here, a number of people just outside.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's a hard time to be on a diet. I'm trying, but it's like, really, there's the cupboard. I can see it from here.
Yeah, it was. I mean, that's what I've done for the past 45 days, and I've dropped a considerable weight. But it's been easier for me. I don't have the distractions of other people, right?
Sure.
So I said earlier, I asked you about the future and stuff, and today. What does today, next week, and the week after look like for you in Illinois, as opposed to what we have in New Jersey, being close to the epicenter of what's going on? So I know they opened up Georgia, they opened South Carolina, Tennessee at the end of the month. What is going on in Illinois?
It's interesting you asked that question because the people I'm in Springfield, Illinois, which is kind of the middle of Illinois if you look at the map, right?
Right.
And a lot of what happens in Illinois is basically what happens in Chicago drives the ship, right? Mm-hmm. So a lot of downstate Illinois, and there's kind of a riff, downstate Illinois and Chicago, two different areas.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of unknown because people here we're just not that densely populated compared to like where you guys are, for example.
Right.
They're out, and definitely this place was shut down, but clearly there's a lot more traffic, there's a lot more activity going on, right or wrong. That's what's going on.
Right.
And there's just for Illinois, just a big, there's ongoing frustration because a lot of the rules that come to Springfield come from Chicago. So there's not it's whatever it is. So
right.
we're all like, well, a lot of people are like, well, I don't know, but we're fine and draw a line and Chicago's the trouble, whatever. So, but I think that we are people here are sharp. I mean, a lot of people are following the rules. I mean, people are wearing their masks and they're staying distances. And I just think thankful, there's a couple big manufacturing businesses within 30 minutes of here that've had some trouble with, kind of some breakouts or outbreaks or whatever they are.
Right.
So we'll see. But I think I hope that we're back to work in a kind of a timely fashion.
Right.
So
now, how are your small businesses doing in your local area?
Not good.
Are you guys doing anything to help them? Is there any ideas out there that you guys are doing that maybe we can share out here?
I think the only thing that we're doing, I wish I had a more profound answer for this because I feel like there's something we should be doing. It's just hard to know where to spread the money and find the people who need it versus just give it to the business owner, buying those darn gift cards. Right. And we're doing a lot of takeout. I mean, we are doing we're doing it, and I'm posting, from time to time on Facebook what we're doing because we're in real estate, so we got a decent number of people who keep an eye on what's going on with us.
Right.
And I think all we can do is just say the most positive things ever. And a couple of business owners I know specifically, I know had good businesses, and I know are probably struggling. I know they are, right. And I know pretty well. And so you just reach out to them and talk to them and try to give them a hand up where you can.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're trying here also. Like the restaurants are all doing specials throughout the week, so we're trying to share those. They're coming up with new menu items just to give people variety now because people are getting bored. It's been 6 or 7 weeks now where it's just been delivery and takeout. So even the restaurants are trying to come up with new ideas, new menu items, testing new things, just to give people ideas of something different, so they're not the same thing over and over again. I know the gift shops here in town are all offering, discounts even on some of their gift cards, where if you buy a $50 gift card, they're going to give you $65 to spend in the store, right? So, and we're promoting those throughout the community just to help people out. I mean, it's just sad what's going on with them, and they're having trouble just keeping the doors open.
They just don't know. I mean, we know what it's because without this end date. I mean, if they knew that June 17th was the day we're back in action, even if it was that far out, at least there'd be it's the lack of a day when this thing turns around. I think that's what's killing them.
Well, I think the important part, Kyle, really is for everyone to look at it this way. I mean, I've talked about this for a couple of days because my coach brought it up to me. It's something called the Stockdale paradox. And it basically says if you're going to think about the future, when you're going to be out of this, you're not going to have a good outcome. But if you think about what the facts are of today and work from there, you have a much better chance of being successful today, tomorrow, and in the future. So grasp onto the brutal facts of what it is and work from there. Makes sense?
You know what? That makes total sense. You're right, because if you're looking at if you're looking at the unknown, you're just going to be confused.
Right.
You can break it. Yeah. And I like your question about the time blocking, because I wish there was a better way, just in general. I mean, that's just our lives to probably do that a little better. But that's kind of what you're saying. Break down today and figure it out and move forward tomorrow. And then, I mean, that's
right.
Kind of what we're doing.
You know, that's the one thing that I coach and train about a lot is learning how to time block. And time block isn't making sure every minute of the day is spent doing something. Time blocking is making sure there's time in the day to do what you need to do, leaving time to deal with all the other things that are going to pop up, right? Yeah. So it's a matter of saying, well, I know I need to make sure I respond to emails coherently and properly and fully 3 times a day. I need to make sure to check on my agents or my clients X amount of times a day, right? Or X amount of times a week. And making sure you have time for that, leaving 2-3 hours here and there to deal with all the stuff that pops up in our lives, whether it be our families or whether it be other businesses or whether it be new business or whether it be just something in the community that needs help. But that's really what time blocking is about. It's about figuring out how to utilize the time in the day as best as possible.
So as we talk about time blocks, right? So you're talking about it, and we're talking about it as a finite thing, and it's probably one of the most difficult things to get an agent, your agent Kyle, I mean your team Mark, and my students to understand that. I mean, this is absolute. Mm-hmm. So Kyle, how do you talk to your agents about blocking and about committing to the discipline?
It's a hard thing because if there was a flaw in my business, and I have 13, 14 agents who work in my office, and they're high productive, they have a great culture, good people, and maybe it's a Midwestern thing, but it's hard for me to crack the whip in general, So I mean, so when you ask how do I talk to them about time blocking, and really more or less, I basically say, hey, these are the activities that we know will build your pipeline. You build them however you want, but if you don't do them, there's going to be an issue. And that's we call it 30-30-30-10. So you got to talk to your sphere 30% of the time, and you got to prospect 30% of the time, and you get lucky 10% of the time, and then you got past clients 30% of the time, and then you got to break down your time to hit those different segments of the business. Mm-hmm. And if you miss a segment of that, time blocks into some capacity, one of those blocks, 30% of your business is probably going to drift away.
Right. Very true.
Exactly.
I mean, it's the biggest thing that we can do in our office is keep the morale up by sticking together.
Right.
One of the core things that we've always, this has been interesting because I think the camaraderie and the strength of our company has always been everybody shows up at our office 8:30 Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Well, now we're not showing up as much, and we're on the screen, but some people aren't showing their video. And it does change things, and I think it allows people to drift. It's like if 4 guys are out there golfing and one guy ends up being by himself, I mean, it's easy for him to just walk back to the clubhouse. Right. And I think that's kind of where, this is a different time, and we're just, we're re-upping by calling them all the time. And also one thing I mentioned is talk to the other agents in the area. Right. I mean, there's a lot of agents who aren't on teams and aren't in good companies, and they are lost, and they're
well, listen, that was actually kind of the motivation for Dave and I starting this, was to give all the agents out there some type of motivation or thought process or help in the mornings, right? Normally 8:30, 8:45, you're going to work, right. We're like, oh, let's do a show to give them some inspiration and get them off on their day in the right direction. And it's kind of just turned into this thing now where everyone's looking to us and asking us questions and giving us feedback how much has helped them. And it's getting that schedule down every day that helps everyone refocus every morning to get stuff done.
Well, it's just, I've been telling our agents, this is not a time to compete, it's a time to care.
Right.
And I think if everybody has that attitude, I mean, if you talk to their agent and you're doing a deal and you're trying to compete with them or be smarter than them or cooler than them or act like whatever, this is a good example where we need to reset, care for the other person and genuinely care. And then we can do the deals and get things where they need to be.
Right.
So
Yeah.
And that's where I think we've changed over the past number of weeks that we've been in this. Is I always called Facebook fake book, more kiddingly than anything else. But you see it, people aren't being real. I've seen more real book on Facebook than I have fake on Facebook.
Yeah.
And I think that's been really, really cool and exciting for me, because this way I know there's less bullshit out there than there was,
Mm-hmm.
and it's more real. You agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, it's people are helping people. The only thing that gets you is if I don't want to go down this road, but it's like some of the ideas we have, it would require somebody going somewhere to drop something off, and you can easily get bashed. Like, well, you're not supposed to do that. And then it goes down some rabbit hole. So, but all in all, I mean, the amount of the giving, the help, the care, the donations, I mean, it's where we need to be. It's where we should be all the time. Our country's had a few resets in the last X number of years. We can probably all think of a few, and it's unfortunately our country needs a reset every now and then, and this is one of them.
Right.
I wouldn't be talking to you guys this morning if we wouldn't have had this thing. And so there's a lot of silver linings in this thing.
Absolutely. Yeah, we talk about it all the time how the economy's gone through this a couple of times. I've been in real estate now 19 years. I think Dave, you've been like 20 something years. It's the agents that are good, and by good I mean treat people properly and respect them and communicate with them are the ones that are going to succeed over the next 12 to 18 months as we get ourselves out of this. I look back to 2008 was one of my best years in real estate because people were scared of a lot of things in the financial world, and having a calming voice about their biggest investment, their house, right? They appreciated that, and they trusted me to list or sell or buy. And that's really what made me really think about, okay, this is the way I need to do business forever. And that's really what, put me into the path that I'm on today. Yeah.
Well, Mark, you have a great attitude. I mean, clearly that's why, when you asked me to do this, I'm like, heck yeah, we clicked in a second. And I think that just that overall attitude is what breeds a lot of success.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's cool.
Exactly.
Well, yeah. What are you gonna say, Kyle?
No, I just, it's an interesting time. I'm thinking about my agents all the time. Right. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, 1000%, it sounds kind of whatever, but I mean, it's my heart and soul. So right. I run a kind of relatively tight ship, and they kind of know it. But at the end of the day, I am showing up I'm a team leader. Yeah. If I were just by myself, which would be fine if I was, I would, it's literally getting up and showing up. And the girl in my office who doesn't have to come into the office every day now, she's working kind of from home. She's like, I just got to have my shoes on by 7:45, And so, even her attitude is, I know that I have to do something that is not easy, and I have to mentally commit to putting my shoes on at 7:45 to drive out and get a cigarette or whatever she's going to do. It doesn't matter to me. It's which is what she does. It drives me crazy. Someday I can tell you a funny story about that.
Right.
But it's like, hey, you know what? Everybody has to just check those boxes to whatever they need, and our job is to care for them, and that's it. So
that's correct. That's it.
I always say, as a team leader, my job is to service my agents. And my agent's job is to service the buyers and sellers. And if that progression happens, everyone's successful.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. I mean, this is we're seeing this in our office. Just in general in this time. No, well, yeah, we are. I mean, the cream rises to the top when things are tough.
Right.
I grew up on a farm, so if you're baling hay, like the last man standing is sometimes the guy who you thought would never even show up to work that day.
Right.
And this is a great example of and it's as an analogy, if you're baling hay every single day for 10 days, there's very few that show up on the last day. Right. But this is now, there's some consistency to this. Mm-hmm. And so the cream in general in all businesses. I mean, it's even the restaurants where the guy's doing curbside and it's raining outside. There are some people who aren't showing up and they're acting like they're broke. They're okay. So I mean, this is an example of a good old American work ethic kicking in, and the cream will rise. And there's some people I have them in my mind right now that I'm like, man, I have no idea that they have the capacity to go the extra mile like this. It's unbelievable.
It is. Good. Absolutely.
Absolutely. So Kyle, I want to thank you for coming on today. I'm grateful for our friendship.
For sure.
I'm happy that, we are friends, that we can share with each other. So if there's anything we can ever do for you, please let us know. We're happy to help.
I appreciate it. All I've asked for years is just an invite to the birthday party, Mark. And
it seems like everyone just wants that.
Hey, thanks, guys. Dave, nice to meet you.
Thank you, Kyle.
Have a great day, Kyle. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you back here tomorrow morning at 8:45.
Yep. Thank you, guys.
Thanks.